Welcome to WeebeeCon's panel discussion with Chennai Anime Club and Bangalore Anime Club. This is Nazo moderating with Laggy. Say hi, Laggy.
Hello everybody, this is Laggy and welcome to the panel discussion. Let's hope that you all learn a lot and you get to interact with all specialists from the field of animation and character design. Okay?
So we thought this was the first time we're doing an event with all the anime clubs in India. So it's a good chance to also stop and think, when are we going to start making our own anime? And we already have people working on that. So we should listen to them and see how we can support them. Alright, so the first panelist we have today is Jazal Humawazir from Beast Legion Comics. You can see his description and so on. I have his bio up on screen for you. Just take a minute to read that while he gets prepped, and he will start speaking to you guys shortly. We have questions as well. We have questions that we've collected beforehand, as well as questions that we are taking from you guys from the live stream. So if you have questions for any of these experts, please feel free to ask us. All right, so let's get started with our first panelist. We have Giselle with us. Just a second. All right, say hi, Giselle.
Hi guys. Yep, can I start?
Yes.
Yeah, you're on stream.
Okay. Hi guys. So my name is Jazil Humawazir. I'm a freelance animator, character designer. Of course, I focus more on the anime style, and I'm also the creator of the webcomic, The Beast Legion, which you see in my hand right now. So just a little about me. I've been in this field for the last 9 years. I've worked with several studios. I now freelance on my own. And right now, the thing I'm focusing more is on indie comics animation. So today, I'm going to be sharing a little bit of my work first, and then I'll tell you a little more about the whole animation scene and my perspective on it. So I'm going to share the screen with you right now. Some of my character designs, I hope you like them. So let's just go through that. So these are some of the work that I've done over the years. So I'm just going to share this
character design work.
Yeah, absolutely. I have like over 1,000 character designs done over all these years. Maybe more, I'm not sure. Definitely not less. This is like my
So I saw that you do
Naruto.
character design challenges as well, right? You ask your fans to...
Absolutely. So I do these create a character challenges where I take word suggestions from fans and then create a character from them. So these are just like, but my main focus is on animation, and I'm going to share some really cool tidbits right now, which are of a project that I'm working on. So you guys can see this. Of course, I am in After Effects right now, so I'm just showing you the renders, a few of them at least. So this is actually an episode that I'm working on right now. I can share it. I took permission, so it's all cool. I can share short scenes from it. So this is just some of the work that I do.
That's pretty cool. So you do all of this on your own, right?
Absolutely, everything. And right now, I'm collaborating with someone. I can't give more details right now, but once this thing is out, you'll have all the details with you. But it's going to be really epic. So this is actually like an episode of sorts. So yeah. So my perspective on animation in India, as you wanted me to describe that, right now we are not at a level that we can compete with anyone at this point, all right? But we are growing so fast. I'm seeing people literally come out on Instagram, share their work, and I think if not in the next two or 3 years, we're definitely going to make a mark in the next, let's just say 6 or 7 years, because I'm seeing some really dedicated people coming out of this field, and they are finally giving anime a go. They are improving their styles, they are improving their techniques. Right now, the main problem that we face currently is the mindset. I mean, most people in India consider, cartoons and, the stuff that you see on Cartoon Network as primary animation that is for kids. A lot of people don't focus on long-term storytelling. They just want to see like characters mimicking various actors and stuff like that. And yes, that kind of gets frustrating for animators like us. We want to grow, we want to create more work. Unfortunately, there's not a pipeline or a financial system that supports long-term anime in India. But I'm really happy that people like Studio Durga and all are there, to keep this dream alive until it takes momentum. And I'm sure if this whole anime fan base continues, we are going to see a lot more cool stuff coming out. I've got to know so many Indian artists who are amazing at anime manga creation, and they are making it their style. I mean, I started 10 years back, and if I see things now, it's improving drastically. I just hope people, cling on to their passion and create amazing content and focus more on animation rather than just illustrations or comic making, because I've basically tampered with everything. I've created my own comic. I work on animation. Right now, a lot of people, another doubt that a lot of people have, that, there are no jobs in India for animation and you can't grow and stuff like that. Yes, to a point, that's true. Uh, Also, the salaries and all is also a factor. But with the internet now, you don't need to restrict yourself to India. All the work right now that I'm getting is from US sources. So people in the US, people in the Germany, and the moment you create something of your own. So this is some advice that I want to give you guys. I hope I'm not going too fast, Nikhil.
No, absolutely not. We're really enjoying
Okay.
listening to you.
So here's one advice I can give you. See, my animation journey got traction once I created Beats Region, and after that, I started creating Naruto fan animation. So I took pages from the manga, turned them into an anime format. After I studied my diploma in animation, and then I took them out, and that got crazy traction. So one of my Naruto bits crossed 1 million. That was the QB transformation even before it happened in the anime. So that is what got me onto the whole animation scenario. People liked my work. People started approaching me for more work. So until you create something of your own, people won't know that you exist. You have to get yourself out there. You have to create fan arts. You have to create game art, a mix of things. That's what's going to get your artwork out there. Not just sticking on your comfort zone and stuff like that. Of course, people will see your originality. I mean, if you just keep drawing portraits that are of existing characters, I see a lot of people doing that. That's going to get you a lot of likes and followers and stuff, but it's not really going to get you any work, because people want to see characters in your style, how you draw them. Then they'll give you their OCs, to kind of commission you for their OCs in your style. So that is one thing. And frankly, the market that I've tapped right now after like 6 years in the field is the indie comics market in the US, which is like huge. They're constantly looking out for animators, to create their, turn their comics into cartoons and trailers and stuff like that. So that's something I've tapped in, and it's really helped me out. I mean, I get to work on new characters. Every time a new project comes in, I'm working on a new character. And that really helps evolve your skills rather than working on one thing all the time. On top of that, I get a lot of time to work on my own personal art for my Patreon page, for my Week region. So, as I said, there are opportunities. If not in India, there are opportunities outside. And now with broadband connections, I think connectivity is no longer a problem. So these are my basic thoughts on animation. If you guys have any questions to ask, please feel free to do so. If you guys want to see a few of my other scenes from this current project, I can show them to you if you're fine with that.
All right, so I think we'll have a separate Q&A session with you again after the others have spoken.
Absolutely.
So if you'd like to show something
Sure.
specific, you can go ahead and do that now. I'm sharing your screen on the
I
thing again.
basically show you everything from the character designs. I mean, I can just show them again. All right, with you guys. So I just left midway. So all of the, I'll show you. I mean, this is a commission. This was something I did.
One second, your stream isn't showing up. Can you restream?
Okay, let me just check. One sec. That's weird. My screen settings are on.
You can just stop streaming and start streaming again. It'll work.
Should I stop the screen and restart it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just start again. Okay. Okay, now can you see it?
It's loading. All right, we can see it.
Okay.
Okay, so these are more of Giselle's character designs.
So this particular design which you see was actually done for a musical, an Indian Indo-Western musical that was called Roar, and I was approached from the US to create character designs for for the costumes of these characters. So this was just one of them. So as I said, if your art is good, there is opportunity everywhere. You don't have to keep thinking about whether you will get work or not. There are so many platforms now. There's Behance, there's Fiverr. You can get work from sources, and I think art is something that you have to follow. If you have a passion for it, go for it, and just create amazing stuff. That's all my advice to you guys. Anything else if you want to ask?
That is a really great start, I think, to the panel. Thanks, Giselle.
Okay.
We'll come back to you for the
Bye.
Q&A session.
Absolutely.
Just a second,
Absolutely.
guys. We will switch over to the PPT.
I'll just mute myself now.
Yeah, sure. All right, so next we have Comics India. All right, so this is Bharat. Hey Bharat, are you with us?
Hello.
Hey Bharat. So,
Hey. Hi everyone.
I think you're the most experienced person on this panel.
I'm not sure, so sure, but yeah. Okay, whatever.
Just a second, I'm just like getting rid of all the unnecessary noises that we're getting. So let me just like get rid of all of these notifications. Extremely annoying. So
Yeah.
X. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Alright. So Bharat, I'm gonna switch over to your video feed. Do you have a video feed?
I have.
No, I'm just gonna show your expert panelist image here, which has your Comics India in your description, so you can go ahead and talk over it. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going
Also, Giselle, your stream is still ongoing. You can stop it, I guess.
Alright, Bharat, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I mean, this is it's a nice thing that you guys are doing, Nikhil and all. I have not interacted with many of the new younger guys like Studio Durga and all that, which I've had the opportunity to see some of those animations on YouTube. So this is a good opportunity to kind of interact with all you people. And of course, it's nice to see that a lot of young people are wanting to make anime kind of animation. But again, that is a sort of it's a longer debate whether to what extent Indian animation or animation made in India can be called anime. But of course, there are certain stylistic elements particularly in the character design that can qualify it as falling into some sort of anime bracket. But for me, what's more important, as Miyazaki himself says, he himself wants to use the word animation, rather than anime. He himself says in many interviews, like, I would like to say Japanese animation. Because he wants to kind of separate himself from a certain kind of anime, popular anime that Japan is famous for. But having said that, see, my own work, I come from the comics scene, and comics as in where I'm very closely associated with Japanese manga, because we also publish Japanese manga in India, and particularly the alternative Japanese manga as in a magazine called Verite, which you can have a look online. It's available on Amazon and other platforms. So manga and my own comics work, I mean, and publishing comics is something that I'm very keen on. And for me, the inspiration from Japan, I think that is the common element in this panel discussion. It's about animation and comics, but in particular the influence of Japan. In the comic scene, the strong influence that I took from Japan was the format of the monthly comics magazine, in black and white, printed on cheap, on kind of newsprint quality paper, and reasonably priced, so everybody can buy it off the newsstands without feeling that they're spending too much to buy comics, because comics in high production value editions, which are available in bookshops, particularly even Japanese manga, like published for the US and European market, are quite expensive, and nobody buys them. So I mean, very few people buy, even comics fans, and very few people actually have the cash to buy those expensive editions. So the monthly magazine was the only form that I think is works for a country like India, and given that there are some cultural similarities between Japan and India in terms of its population, in terms of its socio-cultural background, I think the magazine format is something that I am looking forward to, and something that I am trying to work on, though we haven't reached there yet. So Verite is a small initiative, but what I really want to do is do a monthly comics magazine. And I think that for me is a kind of a backbone for an Indian animation to actually exist. Because if you just look at Japanese anime, much of the content, the material, is taken from manga. I mean, the character designs are already there, the stories are already there, people are familiar with it, and in fact, the popular manga is what gets converted into anime. So they are actually playing on very safe ground. Animation companies, they are not like shooting an arrow into nowhere, but they are playing business-wise. They are playing very safe because they already know that the work has traction. It is popular. People already know the stories and they know the characters, and then when you make anime out of it, you get an even more mainstream audience into the world of those stories. So I think that is the only way that animation in India can actually survive. That you have to have a kind of a combination with the comic scene. It can't be that the comic scene and comics publishing world and the animation world are two different areas. They have to be together. So this is something that, from my perspective, that's what I think. And in terms of what animation we are trying to do, hello? Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, fine. In terms of the animation that we are trying to do, I have started along with a couple of friends an animation studio called Studio Ekonte. And of course, as you all Japanese anime fans might know, Ekonte means storyboard, and therefore we also want to be a kind of an anime studio, and our inspiration is certainly Japan. And when I'm looking at the scene, the first hurdle that I face is identifying interesting talent among animators. That's something that I found quite hard to do. So I was talking to Nikhil the other day also, and I was talking about having a kind of a database of Indian animators with kind of special skills mentioned. It's like what kind of stuff they're into. Like, people specialize even in animation. Some people like to draw a lot of action scenes. Some people are better at character design. Some people are better at drawing women, for instance, female characters, and background artists. That is something so important in animation. and we need specialists in background art. So that is, and I find that there are very few people who are actually, who I can look out for, and we need many more of them. It's not, because background art is a key element of anime. One of the things that distinguishes anime. I'm just going on and on. Nikhil, tell me when I should stop. Okay. Right, right, right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes anime. One of the key distinguishing features of anime is that they'll use a hell of a lot of still images.
I like to interrupt. Being a architecture student myself, I find a certain anime having a lot of certain anime telling stories through the architecture and the whole background of the anime goes along with the storytelling, which makes it much more fascinating as a whole. For
Yes,
example,
absolutely, absolutely. That's so important. So I am like looking for people who can draw a normal Indian street in Bombay, or anywhere, but with all its rich detail. And I want to see that you know examples of background art like that. So if there are artists out there, I would urge you to make fan art or just drawings, just an
when you
imaginary background, and just put it across in your portfolio, and so that uh, like see, I want to direct animation, right? And I'm always looking for people who can, okay, this person can do great backgrounds and I can use this. It's not just that we're looking for animators, we're also looking for artists who can do rich detail, and particularly in the use of light. The lighting is so crucial because the characters themselves are so two-dimensional. They are just two colored. Okay, so there's the shadow area, and there's the main
like
light. Yeah, so it's mostly two colors, sometimes three colors for more complex characters. But movies they try to use more three colors, but mostly it's two. And so to compensate for that, the lighting of the backgrounds is highly detailed. So that kind of combination, in fact, it originates from manga. This kind of combination of very simple characters, simply designed characters, combined with very richly detailed, realistic backgrounds.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Right.
Nothing.
I like
Yeah.
there's some background noise from your side.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah.
Great. So, you're still looking for lots of animators. To all the animators and artists watching the stream, please note the animation industry is constantly growing. We will also put out forms for you guys later. Please keep an eye on the WeebeeCon server. We put out forms for artists and animators, so you can submit your names to the database. And yeah,
Yes.
we'll see
One more thing has to be on the form, which is voice actors.
Right.
So
They get
it's
paid the most, guys.
Yeah. What do you say?
The voice actors get paid the most, so step up
Yeah.
first.
They come first, exactly. Even in the Japanese animation world, it's not the animators that get paid really well. It's the voice actors that actually become famous, and they get paid very very well in Japanese anime itself. So there's a huge part of the budget is for voice acting, and I think voice acting is 50% of animation, and that's got nothing to do with the current kind of movie stars, movie actors, Bollywood actors doing voices. It doesn't work. Sorry to say, but it's terrible. The kind of even the Ramayana anime, the Hindi voice acting was absolutely atrocious, and that actually kills the film. It reduces the film rather than uplifts it, enriches it. And that's my perspective on it. So I think voice acting. So since we have Instagram and we have all these little social media, I think people can put up voice acting like voice pieces with existing anime characters. I mean, if you can do your own voices, and that is a kind of a skill that really needs to be developed, and there's nobody actually there to um, uh, train us. If that's a special kind of training, and they're actually there are voice acting schools and all that in Japan, where people get trained, and because it's not just doing your own voice, right? You've got to actually create voices, and those voices are not the same as a movie star like Amrish Puri or somebody coming and doing a villain's voice. No, it's not like that at all. They have to really tweak their voices, and then it's further tweaked in post production as well. So that's a special area of animation that needs to be focused on. The two things like background art and voice acting, which are the most neglected areas in animation today, I think, in Indian animation as well. So yeah, we are working on something. I have a couple of feature films that feature anime projects that we're working on. One, I mean, I'm just going to tell you guys. One is a biopic of Kipling, Rudyard Kipling in India. So that's something that's close to my heart. So I'm trying to work out the project and put a project together, and then look for funding, etc. So that is one. So, and then there's another project also which I'm trying to kind of get off the ground. But yeah, great. I would love to hear from Studio Durga, for instance, how their experience has been, because they have done a lot of work. So I'm keen to hear from them. Yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay, that was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So everyone, that was Bharat Murthy from Comics India. He'll be creating an animators database, so watch out for that. All right, thank you so much, Bharat. We are switching to our next two panelists, who will be Studio Durga and Studio Sobascape. I think we'll go with Sobascape first. Studio Sobascape, are you with us?
Yeah, hi.
All right, so we have Studio Sobascape here, and I'm giving 2 minutes for you guys to have a look at their profile, which is on the screen now. So this is Deetika Muthukrishnan and Athira Muralidharan. They make a whole lot of different illustrations and commissions.
Are you from Shrishti?
No, actually, we're architecture graduates from Mysore University.
Oh, architecture graduates. Oh, you're the architecture graduate.
Yes.
Great, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to switch over to video feed of Studio Sobascape. And of course, remember guys, after the first set where we go step by step, we will switch to a more round tables kind of situation where you can all interact with each other and also take questions. All right, so I'm now switching, just a second. All right, I'm now switching back to Discord, where you will be able to see our next panelists. All right, you're live now. So welcome to the panel discussion. Hi.
Oh, hi.
All right, will you be showing us something on your screen as well?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna be.
All right.
We have a presentation that we just want to talk about what we do, what are our works, and so.
Great. So just whenever you want me to switch to that, just let me know, and you can start introducing yourselves.
Okay, great. Yeah. So hi everyone, my name is Deetika. I'm an artist and entrepreneur.
And I'm Athira. I'm also an artist and an entrepreneur.
And together we've co-founded our design firm, Studio Sobascape. I'm actually the CEO.
And I'm the technical design director.
So we have our own home studio and it's based off in Bangalore. So I'm glad that we can now sort of explain a little bit of a few works that we've selected that we can share with you right now. So I'm just going to be sharing my screen. Can you just let me know if you can see it?
Yeah, I'll let you know. All right, your stream is live. It's loading. Yeah, it's
okay. Right.
So we'll just go through a few of the works that we have selected that we would like to talk about. So mainly our art style is Indo-Japanese. We have been greatly inspired from anime and manga that we read and write. So you can see our style is very much inspired from that. Here, the first illustration here is a combination of our Indo-Japanese theme with our art style. This is a entry for a competition, and the theme was mango. So we took in the cultural iconography of mango in India, and we combined it with the Japanese art style and a goddess. So we just call it mango right now. It's a sort of like a mascot to our artworks at the moment.
Yeah.
This is our first gig, which we did last year. It was a wall art we did for a restaurant in Bangalore. So we have designed it again. The client wanted us to do it in an Indo-Japanese form. So we tried to bring in as much as we could. We featured food items that they were serving in the restaurant. So you can see, we've also mentioned the banga rolu, which is a consulate. The Consulate General of Japan wanted to promote Indo-Japanese relations in India. So he designed the sushi called banga rolu, which is based off of the Karnataka, the Bangalore flag. So we drew that on the walls as well. And we also featured these two Indo-Japanese characters, which is an Indian of dark skin and a Japanese character. This is an illustration we did, the next one that's coming up. Yeah, so we have done an illustration in tribute to the Consulate General, the previous Consulate General, Kitagawa-san. He retired about this year, so we did this illustration in tribute to him and his contributions to Bangalore in the Indo-Japanese form. So we have featured here the sushi that he designed, and the Indian national flower, which is the lotus, and the Japanese national flower, which is the chrysanthemum. We had it gifted to him, and it's currently in the consulate right now. Along with this, we've also done a couple of competition entries, basically. So the next one that you can see, is a tarot illustration that we did as a entry for a competition hosted by Clip Studio. That's the software we use the most actually for all of our illustrations. So they host all these really cool competitions. We take part in them. So this one was about space, skies, and stars, and we designed the tarot cards. Each of the cards represent one of the 12 zodiac signs, and the corresponding tarot card that is related to the zodiac sign is coming up next.
Yeah, and this is the new series that we were currently working on, which is called the Kapi series. So Kapi in Kannada actually means a filter coffee. So this is kind of a tribute to the Indian skin tone of dark skinned women, which we haven't seen so much of it in the anime style and the anime that we've watched. And it's sort of like a passion project of us. Yeah. So we took inspiration from Sabyasachi Mukherjee's fashion design page, and we took out some of the models, and we kind of went for some illustrations based on.
So there are about 10 of them that we have done so far. These are all us trying to interpret those models in our style.
Yeah. So this one is another competition that we took down, and the theme was lockdown.
So we try to represent it in a way that what do we as artists, from our perspective, what do we do when it's a lockdown and we are trapped inside the four walls? So this illustration represents us trying to bring the outside into the inside. This is a competition entry for a competition that was hosted by Holy Cow Studio. They are a gaming studio in Bangalore. They had a draw this in your style challenge for their character Avanti from their game Mystic Pillars. So we tried out we participated, and we won the first prize for it. So this was our illustration for that. And another big part of our illustration of our works is food art. So Ditika, of the two of us, Ditika is the one who does the food art. So here we have a series of illustrations we have made from the web series Midnight Diner. You can check it out on Netflix. It's a really cool series. Each of the episodes are based on a particular kind of food. So what we have done is each of the illustrations is about that one food. So far we've done about 5, and it's an ongoing series. You can check it out on our Instagram and Facebook.
So these are some of the designs that we do apart from anime style as well, because we're a design firm, so we also do logo design. This is actually for a local business, and she sells her homemade dips and sauces. So this was a proposal for that as well, for the logo for her sauces as well on the bottle.
This is a logo we designed for a team of gamers on PUBG. So they wanted this logo to represent themselves, and this was the design that we gave them. Along with this, we've also done a couple of posters. So this one is done for an event hosted by Open Jam. It was in the Rasta Cafe, again in Bangalore, and this was what we had done to promote that event. We have also done a couple of cosplay designs. One of the coolest things about Bangalore is that the Consulate General had arranged a cosplay walk, which was basically themed only for cosplay artists and for them to promote themselves. So as a part of that, for this year, we had designed our own outfit, and we had one of our good friends, a hula hooper, Nikhila, to cosplay it for us. So this is an original character we designed named Nikki-chan, based on her. And so we had it designed, we had it stitched, we had it made, and we had a whole photo shoot and a nice little performance of her happening in that Rasta Cafe event. So you can check that out on our Instagram. All the performance, everything is on.
So apart from these sort of small gigs that we do, we take up commissions where we draw illustrations for clients based on certain activities that they want us to do.
Yeah. So these that you see right now on the screen are a couple of illustrations we did for a client who wanted to give this as a farewell to his friends. So he wanted his friends to be put into a setting of music videos of their favorite songs. So that's what we did. And then we have done a few for birthdays where again it was highly customized. So it goes from the tiniest details to the biggest details, or even if you don't know what to do, we just put in our ideas and we make it happen. And we've also done some slightly less anime related but wedding related illustration, which we try to bring in that anime style
as much as we can. Not many people of the older generation are really appreciate the anime style, but we try our best to stay true to the company's motto, which is sort of bringing in the anime Indo-Japanese style.
So this is now we move on to the original design part of our works, which is character design. So we have done a couple of designs. This is one such design called Claire. And also we've also designed a set of characters. One has been inspired from the traditional dance form of Bharatanatyam, and the other is inspired from the geisha. So these are two characters who will be featuring in our manga style comic that is coming soon. And we have put up these designs at the Japan Habba. That is also a very huge event that happens in Bangalore that is promoting Indian and Japanese relations. So we always participate in that. It's about 4 years we've participated so far. It's a really cool event. They have a lot of traditional elements coming back. So that was one of the events that really inspired us to start our own as well.
Yeah. So taking up our background that we are actually architecture graduates, both of us were actually classmates when we started out a small club called Corn and Cucumber when we were in college. And it was from Corn and Cucumber that we actually realized that we both share very similar work ethic and also share the same passion of anime and Japanese art style, art form, illustration, anything sort of art related. So we used to go for gigs as such in college.
Yeah.
And that's how we started out, taking it from architecture into anime.
Yeah.
So now for just this year, I think we wanted to explore, how do we take on whatever we learned in college, sort of explore it in the anime style. So we wanted to try designing anime backgrounds, very abstract ones, some which are a complete building on its own with an exterior facade, while the other one is sort of completely abstract, kind of crazy fantasy sort of situation. So I really wanted to sort of see if there was a unique way of bringing what we studied and what we really want to do into a common platform. So this was sort of like the first step into getting there.
An exploration.
It's an exploration of sorts. So yeah, this is one aspect of that. And this is some more of a black and white experimentation that we tried out. This is trying to understand color, texture, black and white levels, and so on and so forth. And this is most of these illustrations actually have inspiration from some very abstract elements that we randomly see around us. This is actually Papaji and Gulab Jamun and Lassi, which I happened to see on a Pinterest page when I was just scrolling through Pinterest at one point in time, and I just thought, why don't we just try something so abstract out of it?
And we don't see a lot of anime style with this kind of food.
Right.
So that was again us trying to depict Indian food with that anime manga style. So that was another exploration we tried. And these designs will also be featured in the manga style comic that we'll be talking about soon. This is us at the Habba. We've been a part of many of these kind of events where we try to talk and promote this kind of style and talk to more artists who are coming up or who do not know how to proceed with the kind of dreams they have. We talk to them at these kind of events, and we really love it. And it's great that it has now been converted digitally through events like this.
WeebeeCon. So yeah, we've also done the Comic Cons. We've done 3 times in Bangalore, and we've done it last year in Mumbai and Delhi. And so hopefully in the future again we get to do some cons. Right, so this is sort of just a small brief of the selected works over a year's work of crazy busy work.
Yes.
But we're really grateful and honored that actually people from WeebeeCon invited us to do an advanced workshop on day 2 of the WeebeeCon. So we would be really happy if you guys could participate and be a part of that, to get to know the tips and tricks that we use, the softwares that we use, which is Clip Studio, Photoshop, how do we use it, sort of thing. We're giving a live drawing session for 1 hour, and we'll also be talking in detail more about our work.
And also, we are very excited to announce that on the day of the event, we will be releasing the first part demo of our manga style comic Gateways, where we'll be featuring the designs that you'd seen just before. So we'll be really excited to know what you guys think about it, and we really want to know what the Indian community thinks about artwork like this, because our first project, so our first really big passion project. So yeah. So you can check us out on our social media handles; they're all listed below. So yeah.
Please like and follow us. So that's do we have time, Nikhil, to talk about a little bit more about the anime scene?
Oh yeah, you can take another 5 minutes and then we'll come back to you during the roundtable as well.
Okay, right. So there's one thing that I really wanted to specify the most here. So I actually went to Japan to do my internship there for 4 months. And so I did experience a lot of the anime pop culture. There it is in Japan, and how it is perceived in Japan, and what do Japanese people really think about the anime culture over there. And me being a part of the, old school section of anime culture, which is like, I've been watching anime probably from 2002 when it was aired in Animax India or such. So it's been, to understand how Indian people and how the Indian audience receives and looks at anime is very different from how it is perceived in Japan. A lot of it. I wouldn't really say that, anime is considered a taboo in Japan, but there is a section which does believe that, anime has, a different connotation altogether there. And it's so refreshing to know that it's outside of Japan, where the boom sort of happens, where you see this amazing interest from, sci-fi, like Ghost in the Shell, to Akira, to Ronin Kenshin and Samurai X, and even to the genre of, Cardcaptor Sakura and Comet Girl, Sailor Moon, and all of these things. It's sort of like a huge warrior army that exists outside of Japan that Japanese people themselves do not even know about.
And they created it.
And they created it. So, yeah. And there's another also thing that now, since it's so huge that because of certain events like this WeebeeCon, and of course last year how the Indian anime community itself was able to bring Makoto Shinkai to India and have him welcomed here and actually have his movie screened, not as an official thing, but actually as a side way to get it in here, was a very, very, very big deal. It was like, it's these kind of things actually put both of us in this career, in this line of work. It brings us so much of hope to know that in India we have such a big demand and such a huge, passion of young people with so much of enthusiasm for the same kind of artwork, and it definitely is growing over the years. And
that Japan is able to see now after Makoto Shinkai came in. We also had the animator for the Ramayana movie, the animator Ishiguro-san had visited Bangalore, and I had the privilege to be there in a panel where he had discussed and showed us his rough work, his storyboard, and it was just really humbling to see that he was really surprised and happy that there is still a lot of people in India who are really excited and interested about stuff like that. So I think really we are going out there on the scene. A lot of budding artists are coming up. We have such great people on the panel today, and we are really changing the face of what India is capable of. So we're just really happy to be on board with the whole thing.
Yeah, this is definitely a milestone year.
Yeah,
this is for sure a milestone year for the Indian anime community.
Yeah, it's great that there's something like this, like a fest like this, could happen even in this difficult time where there's a global crisis. We're still able to do stuff like this and keep people up, keep people in the anime scene, and show that we're not just restricted by being inside or outside. It's crazy. It's amazing. The best time to be right now in anime. So for anybody who is really looking into trying out anime or art or anything, just go for it. It's like art, because we are that. We are self-taught artists. Other than our architectural backgrounds, everything that we've done has been a passion thing. So whoever is listening in, if you're really passionate about what you want to do, just go for it. This is the best time. You have all the resources. You have the internet. You have stuff like this where you can go online, share your works, get so much of feedback from people, and everybody's so excited about seeing new works as much as doing new work. So yeah, we're just really optimistic about the scenario right now.
All right, that was awesome. That was Studio Sobascape, everyone. And we are going on to our last panelist, which is Studio Durga. After that, we'll come back to all of our panelists with our questions. We've collected a few questions from the audience. We're also looking at the comments on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll be collecting questions. If you have questions for any of these panelists about something they say specifically or about any of their work, just put it on YouTube or Facebook and we'll find it. All right. Thank you, Studio Sobascape. Studio Durga,
Thank
you
you.
ready? So I'm just quickly
Hey,
going to shift.
can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, just a second. I'm just going to put up your profile on the stream so you can get yourself ready and turn on your video and so on. So are you going to be sharing any video?
I don't plan to though.
All right, no problem. So I'll just leave your profile on the screen and you can go ahead and talk.
Okay, sure. So can I start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay. Great. So I'm Rajorshi and I basically run Studio Durga and I'm the director for Karma Chakra. I'm also the writer and the music producer because music is something that I've been doing for ages now. And that's also what I have the most experience in. With me, I have Monideep and Samadrita, who are the lead animators on this. And then I have Ananya with me, who is the assistant director. So all four of us in the core team, we're all here. And we were just listening to, I mean, it's fantastic to be amongst such esteemed personalities. And this is a great opportunity. The whole concept of WeebeeCon is just fantastic. I mean, I think all of us realize, I mean, funnily enough, or maybe not so funnily enough, we're all in the sort of manga/anime space in this chat, in this presentation. And I think we all know that we just have to bring it now, you know. It's high time. And especially in the comic space, there's a lot of struggle and, you know, we can't even begin to imagine, like most people can't even begin to imagine, especially like, I mean, of course, everything's easier now. There's the internet and there's no barrier to entry. So therefore there's more saturation, right? And then that's what we see from all our fan mails and everything and the huge following that we've been getting in such a short time, that everyone wants to do this, everyone wants to get on board with this. But the whole point is that, you know, it may not be for everyone. Maybe you're better just sticking to comics. Maybe you're better just honing your skills. Because I remember at the time when, you know, say I was a kid, okay, anyone who would start like just get on making their first sketch and all, they wouldn't like put it on Instagram. I mean, no matter how horrible or how great the sketch may be, I mean, there would be a certain barrier to entry. There would be a certain understanding and experience of working within the process, whether it's comics or whether it's animation. So without which it becomes very tacky, you know. I mean, as much as the huge enthusiasm that is there with the fans and everything, and I'm glad it is, because without that, none of us would be able to survive in this space. But at the same time, I think it's important to have institutes, education, academia looking at this. Because one of our greatest achievements, I would say, is that our trailer and our pilot episode, they were taken and looked at as examples at institutes, and they were taking cues from that, because we've stuck to the exact animation process of anime as it exists in Japan. That's the exact process we've taken. The only difference being that for background art, we don't use paper, we use digital. So we do digital art where it's from scratch, or we do like renders, and then we do paint overs and things like that. So not everything is watercolor and things like that. So, but we go more towards the digital art and the comics wave style of doing things. So if you want to check out our stuff, you can just Google us. You'll find all our social profiles and stuff. And yeah, sure. Yeah, were you going to say something?
I just want to ask the animation part.
Hello.
Yeah.
Nazu, why don't we put the trailer of Karma Chakra now?
Yeah, let's do that. All right.
Sure,
Actually,
sure.
Rajoshi, you can tell us what you would like us to show. The trailer or something else? Which would you be comfortable to
I
show?
think the trailer is a good length, I would say, because
Okay.
Okay,
we don't
Give
have
me a
too much
moment.
time, right?
Give me a moment. You can keep talking. I'll add it in. I'll tell you when it's ready to go.
Yeah, great. So basically, that was the first sort of piece of work. I mean, we'd been working on the trailer for about a year, and then, I mean, which is the new trailer, but we did come up with an old trailer, and I remember at that time, I mean, it's been quite a, I wouldn't say struggle, but it's been quite a journey. As say, like the kind of discussion we were having. I mean, I was also thinking about how to segue from what all you guys have been saying, all of which is valid. And I remember Bharat was talking about, the whole concept of Indian anime or Indian manga and things like that. And uh, I remember that in the beginning when we started out, there was this huge slew of, yeah, I wouldn't say hate, but there was this doubt. People were not, looking at, they were letting things cloud their perception in the sense that, um, is it Japanese, is it Indian? Whereas if it's something like music or if it's something like Indian hip hop and stuff, they would just buy it straight away, you know. And I'm sure Indian hip hop has had a huge story of struggle on its own as well. But then we just have to bring it now because there's a lot of people enjoying it now, whether it's Indian comics or Indian animation, especially in the community that is also attending WeebeeCon, which is the anime community and the Indian manga fans. And I think it's ultimately about entertainment. It's not about is it Japanese, is it Indian, what is it, what do we call it. It doesn't matter. The same way we say Indian hip hop, we can say Indian anime or Indian manga. Say something like what Bharat is doing or what a lot of other people are doing, which is fantastic. And whether it's a collab or no collab, I mean, we wanted that no collab factor to be one of our USPs because there's already been collabs in the past, and most of them were for all ages, or it was a kids show. So like you had Batugai then, which was on Nick, that was a collab. Then way back you had Ramayan, which was sort of an all ages thing, and we've always sort of stuck to mythology. Except in Karma Chakra, we're not beating you over the head with it. We are keeping it as an element of mystique, I would say. It is not really, we're not like driving the point home, and we're not taking mythology and making it a major theme. Although would be an equally valid path to take, but then that's just not what we're doing. And also, it's like a rich mixture of many different elements. This is essentially a mystery drama, but it's got elements of urban fantasy, elements of magic realism, elements from all different places that I thought would fit nicely into this sort of mixture. So that is the general approach, the very general approach, I would say, with Karma Chakra. And we're also working on some other things that we will release to the public as and when possible. But it's just great to be in the same space as you guys, and it's fantastic to be invited to WeebeeCon, and let's hope this encourages people to discover all of us guys if they haven't yet, and experience our works, and maybe the community will get inspired to start something of their own, and new things keep popping up all the time, and I'd love if there was more of that happening, especially in the anime space or in the manga space. So it's fantastic. That's what I'd say. I mean, it's a lot of work. We are struggling with every part of the process, and me being the person who runs Studio Durga, I have to keep tabs on every part of the process, whether it's licensing or whether it's initially it was the entire technical process of making anime uh, the same way that is it's done in Japan. So that technical know-how is something That was my chief contribution, apart from the music score and all of that, and the writing, of course. But the entire process, whether it's licensing or how do we make money and all of that, because I'm also the producer. So the whole point was that whatever I spent till now, and from day one, I mean, back when we started it, and I didn't want any single thing to be like a sort of portfolio item. Like a lot of people ask people to, it'll be good for your portfolio. I'm like, no, if you're talented, you should get paid for it, and from day one, whether you're in school or college, it doesn't matter. It depends on your skill level, because there's a lot of duds in the industry who will just not kick themselves out of their comfort zone and just get to the point where they can make a mark, or even be respected or admired for a certain level of skill. So anyone at any level, at any age, who is has the aptitude and the attitude to aspire for that, I have involved in this project, and I have invested both time and money since day one. So now the question comes that how do you get this afloat, and how do you get this happening? And we've been in talks with OTT platforms for a very long time. And right now, things are looking good. There's a lot of good news. There's a lot of bad news as well. And we've been doing our polls and a lot of different things, but I can see the demand, and that counts. The demand counts. So I think one should build momentum, and one should see if there's a market for it, or in our case, one should build a market for it. And that takes a little more work, actually quite a lot more work. Anyone who's working in the anime and manga space would know that in India. And other than that, I think that is especially why we have to give our 200%, 300% for it to kind of fall on the 80 to 90% mark. Unless we give that much of ourselves into the project, it's not going to take off. So we are currently, okay, I'll throw in an exclusive out here. We're currently around 2 months away from finishing our 80-minute feature. And we are in talks with a lot of distributors and a lot of these platforms, and a lot of them are interested. A lot of them we are trying to get them interested, and so that's where it stands right now. So I urge you to anyone who's watching this, I urge you to go to our YouTube channel. If you'd like, you can add to our 30K plus subscribers. You can go to our Insta, you can go to our Facebook. You just have to go to Google, search Studio Durga, and you're going to get all of those links. And we are going to keep on bringing out content for you guys, and we're going to keep on bringing out updates for you guys. And very soon we're going to have some nice press happening. So look forward to that. And that would be it. And so thank you for having us. And let's I think we can move on to the next section if there's no questions.
So I'll play the trailer, and then we can switch to the roundtable question answer session. All right?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you for your piece. So I'm switching now to the trailer for Karma Chakra, and then we'll go to the question answer session.
ওসব তো দৈব শক্তি, আপনি বিশ্বাস করেন? ওসব তো গল্প।
গল্প মশাই, যাহা রটে তাহার কিছু তো বটে। ঘটনা থেকেই গল্প হয়, গল্প থেকে ঘটনা হয় না।
এবার ছুটি শুরু হওয়ার আগে আমাদের লাস্ট টপিক সিনক্রনিসিটি।
Sid, why don't you at least hear me out? মানলাম যে কেসের পুরো ডিটেলস এখন বলতে পারবো না, but we need you back.
মাধবী, she needs all the help she can get. ছোটবেলা থেকে ওর মা বাবা ছিল না, let alone a father figure.
আর তুমি সেটার অ্যাডভান্টেজ নিচ্ছ, তাই তো? পারফেক্ট।
দেখ গৌতম, হয় একদিন তোকে আমি অ্যারেস্ট করতে বাধ্য হব, আর নয়তো আমি বিপদে পড়ব।
মৃত্যুর খবর পেয়েই আসা হলো বুঝি?
শোন, ইতিহাসে যারা নিরুদ্দেশ হয়েছিল তার আসল কারণটা কি জানিস?
বড় হয়ে ফাদার এডওয়ার্ডের কাছে শুনেছি যে সেদিন হি ওয়াজ কিডন্যাপড বাই সাম রেবেলস।
Oh, you mean during the Little Uprising? And if I may ask, তোমার মা?
হোয়াট? এত বছর বাদে সেই পুরনো কেসটা? আই ডোন্ট বিলিভ ইট। ঠিক আছে, আমি পৌঁছে যাচ্ছি।
তোমার অতীত টেনে এনে আর মনে আঘাত দিচ্ছি না, তবে এই ব্যাপারে যদি সাহায্য চাও কিছু লোকের সন্ধান দিতে পারি।
আবার কি? হতেই পারে না। না তোর একটু বেশি ভেবে ফেলছি। Must be a stalker. So sick. Scarecrow.
Hi, is everything okay?
রিকের সেই কথাটা,
Yeah, we're playing the trailer.
এই পৃথিবীতে সবই ঋণের খেলা আর শোধটা তোমার ব্যাপার। হ্যাঁ,
এই দাঁড়া, এটা কোন একটা মাঙ্গায় পড়েছিলাম না?
হ্যাঁ।
Alright, so that is the cast of Studio Durga. Conveniently at the end of the trailer, so you can have a look. These are the nice people making the anime. Alright, so shall we now shift to our question and answer session? So we'd like all of you to be part of this rather than just a few. So I'm switching back
Yes.
to the.
Yep.
Actually, yeah, I think we can
I'm
just
still
do a
here.
Green picture. Alright, so we are with our panel discussion. Alright, so let's start with. I think there are some questions directed to certain panelists and some questions directed to all of you. So I think let's get rid of the go through the direct questions first, and then we can have a more rounded discussion with everybody involved. Alright?
Sure.
It's not a video. Okay.
Alright. So just a second. Moment, because there are some specific questions here. Alright. I think the first question is to both Jazel and Bharat. It was they've even mentioned by name in the question. So I think the question is, when you are animating, how do you keep proportions stable? Because several times squash and stretch has left my characters looking deformed after a few frames. I think that's an excellent question. So let's start with that.
Okay, so should I answer?
I think you should both answer. You can go one by one. We'll keep the order of the panelists that you enter. So Jazel, you can answer first.
Okay. So yeah, the squash and stretch is always a problem, but the thing is, if you practice enough anatomy, animation is all about exaggeration. It's how you actually place the movement of the character to compensate for the squash and stretch. Because usually, if you see anime doesn't involve a lot of it. It involves more speedy action, few frames, but the frames have impact, and the proportions are a little what word would I use? A little exaggerated than most normal animation or traditional animation works. So I suggest playing more with the anatomy and the perspective rather than focusing more on the stretch and squash. That's my take on it.
Okay, and Bharat?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jazel there, but I would just add that in anime, generally the method of animation is heavily based on keyframing.
Absolutely.
Right? that is the keyframe illustrations. Those individual drawings are the main part of doing anime. So and then you don't depending on the availability of in-betweeners and the budget, etc. The number of in-betweens are always like, it varies. So that's how Japanese anime business has survived, is because they focused on keyframes.
Absolutely.
And so you could even have, so suppose you are in an emergency situation where you have a deadline to meet and you don't have enough animators and you can't simply do all the animation. So if you have the keyframes, then you at least have something to show. So in fact, you will find many anime episodes using just a few keyframes for many scenes, which they could have actually animated more, but they don't because of deadlines, or they don't have enough animators, the budget problems, and things like that. So given that, the squash and stretch thing is based on the keyframing. So if you have those keyframes in place, then the amount of squash and stretch is only a matter of the in-betweener, whoever is doing in-betweens, to decide on their own, right? And then you come back to the keyframe. So you move back to the keyframe that you've already drawn. So then the squash it goes back to character, right? It goes back to character because the keyframe is already finished. And so that is the kind of trick or basic technique that animators use. And of course, there's a model sheet that you are constantly checking again and again to make sure that. So there's this animation checker, which is a very important role in Japanese anime, where every single keyframe is checked by the key animation checker. Actually, physical corrections are usually they use a colored animation sheet. The keyframes are all drawn on white sheets, but the animation check drawings are drawn over that on a colored sheet, so that they know that this is drawn by. So that's a correction, and then they give it back to the key animator to make those corrections. So this is part of the anime production technique, right? So that's how they make sure that you're on character. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Also, there's a question to Jezel. There's a question on what do you use to draw? Do you use an iPad or do you use a drawing tablet? And what would you suggest a beginner to start with?
I think this can go to all the panelists, right?
Yeah.
You can go one by one. You can talk about what materials you use, what technology you use. Let's go in the order again. So, Giselle.
Okay. I basically use a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet. I've been using the Wacom Intuos line for the last 13 years, and I've been very happy with it. Yes, of course, you can upgrade to a Cintiq, but I'm so used to my Intuos that I almost sometimes get nervous, upgrading, because I don't really feel any problems with it. It really depends on your budget. There are other tablets which are equally good, but the thing is, Wacom has a pen that stays charged for like permanently. So it really helps out. When you're actually working, sometimes you miss charging your pen and stuff like that. So I would always recommend Wacom first. Then of course there's Huon, there's Xpen, but I use a Wacom tablet since the last 13 years. And of course, for the softwares that I use Clip Studio now for all my illustrations, basically. I'm totally comfortable with it because of the level of brushes, the sensitivity, everything. Photoshop, yes, I use for animation, and I primarily use Photoshop for animation, if that sounds weird, but yes, I do use that. And of course, then I compile it in After Effects and, Premiere and stuff like that. Sometimes even take it in Toon Boom Harmony.
All right.
So
I think the next is Bala.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk about materials and so on?
Well, I'm a huge believer in animating on paper.
Right.
So, which is in fact how Japanese, if you really want to be, if you're really inspired by Japanese animation, you would still do it on paper, because that's how I think 95% of Japanese animation, even today, is pretty much on paper. Though a lot of studios are, of course, taking it on drawing digitally, and I do I do draw digitally as well. And for that, I use Clip Studio Paint, which is a fantastic Paint EX, right? The EX version of Clip Studio Paint, which is very well designed for the anime style production workflow. So so you can actually share files, and then in those folders, you know, directors or animation checkers can actually draw on top of it and keep the folders in place, and they don't get lost and things like that, right? So in terms of the drawing lines, because anime is all based on lines, I found that Clip Studio Paint gives the best lines. And it's not an expensive software. You can actually buy it. It's affordable. So I think for future anime workflow, I would rely on Clip Studio Paint.
I'll actually, come in here and say that yes, Clip Studio Paint is actually currently being used for Boruto. That's in the pipeline.
Right.
A lot of studios are using it now, to speed up things, speed up workflow, where too much animation is not, where extreme scenes are not required. That's where Clip Studio comes in very handy.
Absolutely.
And then you can obviously go in details as well.
Yeah.
But I still need to get used to Clip Studio's animation feature.
Yeah, so, and Clip Studio now, it gives the camera moves as well. They have introduced a camera move feature in the latest versions. So basically, you can do your entire animation in Clip. I mean, you can make a feature film on Clip Studio Paint. You can actually do it. So.
All right, Sobascape.
Okay. Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, this is Atra from Sobascape. So the tools that we use, the drawing tools we use is, Ritika uses a bamboo vacuum tablet, and I used to use an Intuos vacuum Intuos, but I've sort of upgraded to an XP pen tablet. They're both really cool. Like it was said previously, and Intuos is really affordable for for an artist who's starting out. It is really portable and it's really easy to use. And for a student especially, and the XP pen is equally good, I would say. When it was an upgrading, I did not have issues with technical issues, at least with the seamless with the usage. So I would say, yeah, those are the most tools that we use at the moment. And regarding the software, we too use Clip Studio Paint EX. We also use a bit of Photoshop, but that is only in the end when we need to maybe tweak a little bit of its settings and stuff. But most of our stuff is still Clip Studio Paint EX.
So when I think that if we have to choose between Photoshop and Clip Studio, I think Clip Studio has better finesse for the pens. They have different versions of pens, and the quality of line art that you can get on Clip Studio is much superior compared to what you can actually get on Photoshop, both using any tablet whatsoever. So yeah. I still feel that if you want to get the anime style with very crisp line art, very thin, really a lot of lines packed up together, you need to use a tool. You need to really get the hang of using line art in a very sophisticated way.
Yeah, Clip Studio is the best because it has all these really crazy tools. As in, this perspective tool itself helps you make these really cool perspective shots of characters and background designs or something.
Yeah, and they have this mannequin. They have the mannequin tool.
Yes, they have this entire set of 3D mannequins and props as well. It literally like props. You can create your own studio within Clip Studio. And another beautiful thing is there's a community of people who contribute to brushes and props and textures and materials online. So if you want to have a brush that you don't have in the software, you can download it from the community, and vice versa. You can create a brush and upload it as well. So
also creating brushes on Clip Studios is really super fun because you can change the dynamics in which the brush sort of turns while you're using it on your tablet. So if you want to create a brush of say petals of a certain type of flower, fluttering in the air, sort of scattered, you just have it's a very simple process, but you the outcome is extremely sophisticated and extremely high quality result.
And convenient. Yeah, cuts off a lot of time that you would be maybe spending drawing the same thing again and again. So we use a lot of that, where we draw our own brushes and then we use them within our artwork. So best thing would be to use Clip Studio, and the community of Clip Studio uploads a lot of tutorials and a lot of ways to use their own tools, and every time they have new tools, they update that as well. So all you have to do is just go up on their pages on their website and just check it out, and everything you can just learn on your own. Yeah, so that's what we use.
There's also a quick direct question to you guys on YouTube. Where can people purchase your artwork?
Right. So at the moment, we all of our things are done by website. We also have an Instagram. Our DMs are always open. We love to engage with people who want to buy our art or want us to do something for them. So yeah, you can contact us via Instagram, Facebook, and on our website.
All right, I think that goes for everyone, right? If you want to reach out to any of these artists, Instagram, Facebook, or their website. All right, Studio Durga.
Okay, so are we still on the same question? Okay.
Yeah, the question is, what materials do you use, digital or
Right.
otherwise, and what do you recommend?
Yeah, so
what do you think
I see
stands out as a
the
recommendation?
I see the whole conversation steering towards software as well. Hardware, of course. I'm going to ask Moni and Sam to speak soon. They basically use pen tabs. They use Wacom or Huion. Sam currently uses Procreate on iPad. And we use Photoshop primarily for all line art because that's our requirement from the animators. We don't need them to color. We don't need them to do anything. We need them to mark out the tone regions for shadows, midtones, highlights, super shadows sometimes, which are all color coded. And then they are filled in a software called OpenToons, which is free, which used to be Ghibli software for anime production, but now it's like there's an open source version for it.
Yeah, OpenTools is a fantastic software.
Yeah. And so, but then the compositing is a bit weak, so that's why we take it to After Effects, and we have our own bunch of tools on After Effects that we use to then color grade it. So, if you're talking about the workflow, then during the previs, during the pre-production, what we do is we make a 3D, we sort of visualize and we make 3D models of all our environments. And we use that, we don't just keep the storyboards, but we take it a notch higher. We do layouts. So once we give layouts, which are, basically models and not renders or nothing of that sort, then every perspective, whether it's a zoom in, a pan, tilt, close up, top down, whatever, fisheye, all of that stuff is given straight to the animator as a background to base his character, his or her character on in that particular shot. So once that happens, then the background is worked on. We use SketchUp to model and we use Twinmotion to render. And after we get our renders, we touch them up again using Photoshop, even for the external backgrounds which are made from scratch with our own custom brushes. All of those are made on Photoshop. And apart from that, then once the painted assets come over, then we apply a variety of post-processing techniques where we can basically, we have precise controls over every region of color within the character, and we sort of shift them. We do all kinds of things all in After Effects. And after that, of course, for editing and all of that, we use DaVinci Resolve. And on the audio side, I use Pro Tools and Reason for the audio bit, because those are the two DAWs that I use. I don't use Logic, Ableton, although I'm familiar with them, but I usually don't do that. And when it comes to digital, I think the main draw for anime is that every frame is hand drawn. It's not computer rigged. It's none of that. You don't make a puppet and make the computer move it. You just draw every frame on your own, no matter how complex the character design is. So I think that's the main draw. So whether that happens on paper or digital, where you're essentially getting the same result, it shouldn't really make a huge difference, which is why a lot of today, I would say at least about 50% of Japanese productions are using digital. And if not, they are using a mixture, because I went to Japan in 2013. I was there for around a month, and I had the opportunity to observe a lot of anime productions. What they do is they do use paper a lot of the time, but they either vector trace or they stick to raster. I mean, they still stick to raster, which is why if you like, in a lot of anime which are like, say medium tier production values, you can see that once they zoom in, the lines get a little thicker. But I don't think that's a very major issue, but essentially it's drawn very high res, so you actually don't have a problem when doing zooms and pans. But as you guys were saying, Clip Studio is a fantastic software. I'm not too fond of the timeline as opposed to Photoshop, where I'm a huge fan of the timeline, especially because they have these fantastic plugins now to add to the functionality, which are all third-party open source ones. Other than that, we tried Krita for a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend it because if it's paid software, like we have a paid license for all these Adobe software, the experience is a lot more streamlined. And for illustration, there is a lot of software out there, including Clip Studio Paint, or for if you want to make manga. Even if you look at people who make manga abroad, I mean, it'll be. I recently was watching a video from a very famous mangaka's thing, and he and a bunch of his assistants were in a room, and they were all working on these screen tabs, not even pen tabs. They were working on screen tabs, and they were getting done with the latest issue that they had to release, like a latest chapter they had to release on some magazine. And this is what is happening right now. So Clip Studio Paint is used a lot. It's a great software, but when it comes to the animation, when it's the manga workflow, it's fantastic. When it's the anime workflow, then things get a little murky, and since your only requirement is line art from the asset makers, you would rather use something like Photoshop, like you see a lot of these anime productions actually using. So I'm going to switch over to Moni and Sam now, and they can talk about the nitty-gritty of the specific pen tablet or screen tab or the software that they work on. So I think Moni, Sam, whoever would like to go first.
Before that, sir, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Yeah, so if you guys, even the viewers, if you guys want to see our whole process, process that sir described, you can go to our YouTube channel, look at our short breakdown, which we put up a few months back. It has all the things that he has described from the background process with the person who has done it in the video. So do check it out.
Yeah. Okay, over to you, Sam and Moni.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Moni, do you want to go first?
Okay. You go first.
Okay, so I actually started off.
Where's Sam? Is he there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm Tiklil. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah. Okay. So when I started out animation, I started animation because of Karma Chakra. So an interesting thing. So back then I was using Paint Tool Sai and an eyeball pen tablet, but I soon switched over to Huion. Huion I would definitely recommend because while using Huion, I was also using Wacom sometimes from my friends. I used to borrow Wacoms to check it out. I personally found Huion to be a better experience than Wacom in terms of the stylus and how if you're applying more pressure, it gives you a better feedback and you feel like you're applying more pressure. So that's it has a very good contact feedback Huion. And of course the price issue is there. It's very affordably priced, and the quality is also top notch. The model I had required you to charge your stylus, but then in the more recent models, that's also gone. Plus, they have increased pressure sensitivity as well. So I currently own two Huion tablets. One was the old version. I think it's called 1060p, and also a newer one with the chargeless stylus. So the newer one is obviously better because it has many more pressure settings, and it is way more sensitive to pressure. So you can create varying thicknesses of line art like that. And at that time, I used to use Paint Tool Sai, which is a great software when it comes to illustration, especially in the manga style. So it gives you those clean, crisp lines. The brushes are very optimized for that. Also, the stabilizer is fantastic on it. There are multiple levels on which you can stabilize your lines. So if I wanted to make artwork that is of a certain polish, I could do it by adjusting multiple things. So it's a very good software. It would come close to Clip Studio Paint, but Clip Studio Paint has upgraded itself since then. So I guess it has many more features right now. Also, Sai didn't used to have animation when I used, like, it doesn't have animation even now. So since I used to animate on Sai, I sort of developed a kind of sense for keyframing and knowing whether this would work even without checking for a long time. So that was sort of like a backhanded advantage, I guess. But now I work on an iPad and I use Procreate. Procreate, again, I would like, it's a fantastic software when it comes to both brushes as well as animation. So the timeline feature is not very sophisticated, but since I only need to work with line art and tone lines and not really go into coloring and rendering or even compositing, and I don't work with a lot of complex animation or multiple objects at the same time, it usually works when I'm trying to animate for Karma Chakra. Also, like, I don't need to tell you guys about the Apple Pencil because it's amazing. Procreate also has like very sophisticated brush settings. As I think Sobascape mentioned, like Clip Studio's kind of brush features, it's very similar to Procreate's. So it's easy to create your brushes as well as alter existing brushes to fit your needs better. So currently I'm using Procreate and animating on that. So I guess Moni, you can go next.
Yeah. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So for animation, hardware is basically I use Wacom 1, which is like the old version of Wacom 1, which comes in green and not in red, and it's a small Wacom 1. So basically, if I were to suggest someone any hardware, the first preference should be like depending on how they draw. If they use their wrist, then a small tablet is preferred. But if they use their entire arm, then get a bigger tablet, a medium or a large size tablet. So yeah, I have been like drawing in my small Wacom tablet. And as for software, just like Jazzle uses Photoshop, I use Photoshop as well. I use that timeline feature. I used to use the old timeline feature, but right now I searched up the internet and I found a really good plugin called Animate This or Design, I guess. It's a plugin made by some French guys.
Stefan Baril,
So
right? Anand Hassan.
yeah.
I'll send out the
Yeah,
links
yeah.
after the panel.
Yeah. Thanks, man. So basically that. So I use it for my animation pipeline. It basically in not in the normal timeline in Photoshop, it doesn't allow you onion skin. As like it just it's just by like lowering the opacity levels of the previous layers within the timeline scheme. But in anime design, it does it for you. Basically, you can set the number of onion skin layers you can have at one point of time behind your present keyframe. That is. So yeah, this is what I usually use. That's all.
All right, great. Lagi, do you have any questions? Because I have a pretty big one.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions regarding people are asking whether is it necessary to enroll a art college or
So
anime
yeah,
school.
I've actually compiled all of them into a single big question. Okay, guys, so get ready for this.
Okay.
It's about two parts primarily. Okay, first thing is, what did you do after you finished
Excuse me?
school? Hello, can you hear me?
Well, Studio Durga has a little bit problem connecting back.
All right. We'll wait for you. Just tell us when you're ready.
Just 2
and
minutes.
Just continue. Yeah, no problem.
Meanwhile, someone else can talk, I guess.
Okay, yeah. So I'll combine this into 2 questions. All right. So the first big question is, what did you do after you finished 12th, and how did you figure out that this is the path that you're going to take, right? And what can they do similarly? That's one part of the question. And the second part of the question is, can they get recruited by you, or what would they have to do to get to where you are, right? So it's kind of the same question, but it's a bit slightly different. So yeah, I think we'll go in order again. Giselle.
Okay.
And
So
of course, this includes the part about the college and degrees, and do we need this, do we need that, what do you need?
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll start with Justin.
Okay. So I'll be leaving after this session. I mean, I kind of have
Yeah,
to
I think
go,
this
but
is the last question. We don't have other questions, so
okay. So the thing is, I did my BSc IT just to get my graduation degree, all right. So in the meantime, I was still taking commissions, small drawings. But in 2007, so that's when I got in touch with Naruto, and that basically changed my whole, career path for anime. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we can.
So that's when I started reading the manga. I started to compare the manga with the anime scenes, and that's when I felt like this is the thing for me. So slowly, I started animating those pages, as I said. And then once my college got over, I kind of, took a small course in Arena for a year and a half. So I completed it. It was a 2-year course. I completed it in 1.5 years. And that kind of just gave me an idea of the software, like how to use Toon Boom, the shortcuts, the Photoshop. So I think that's one thing that's very essential. You need to know how to use the software. Though now there are so many tutorials online, how can I say? Of course, it's great if you go to an art college, get a degree, and get into the nitty-gritties of things. But basically now everything is out there. There are courses, there are free courses on YouTube as well, how to use the software. Every time you get stuck, you can always check out a YouTube video on what you're stuck at and get things done. So yeah, that's how I basically went through my journey as an animator. And it's only after like Beast Legion got a little famous that I started getting a lot of work in character designing, and then branched out into animation. After my Naruto animations got like really good, cool views, and people started approaching me for that work. So what was the second question again?
Second question is, how can they get recruited by somebody like you, or how do they get more? So I think in Giselle's case, how do they get commissions? How do they, go about getting work?
Okay, so see, the first thing you need to focus on is a healthy mix between fan art and original art. So people need to make a lot of fan art, even fan animation for that matter, if they can, because those things gain a lot of traction on YouTube, on Instagram, and stuff like that. So it's very essential to keep a balance between both. Until you make something original, right? Unless people see your work, it gets famous. That's when you start getting a lot of offers and stuff like that. As for recruiting, actually, right now, even I'm planning to, start taking help from people, because I'm kind of getting a flurry of projects coming in. So I'm
That's actually
thinking
a great point for me to that's a great place for me to segue. There was one other question I wanted to ask you guys. So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to end on, which is, what are your plans for the future, specifically for you?
So yeah, my main plan is to get Beat Fusion out to an OTT platform probably. That's a goal basically. I can't say it's a plan at the moment. But right now, as I said, I am very comfortable, working for the indie market, because there's just comics that are keep coming out from America, from Germany, and stuff like that, and they constantly need animation. Right now, I have like 5 projects in the pipeline. I'm not sure. It's going to go until January, February. So once I get a certain amount, then I can probably hire people to help me out with the animation. But right now, I'm trying to stick to my solo thing. But let's see how things go. I take things one step at a time. Future is good, but at the time, I'm kind of looking at the present, because once all the stuff that I've done in the last 6 months, that starts rolling out in the coming weeks. And we're going to see like a lot of stuff coming out from me. I've done trailers, I've done animated, like, music videos and stuff like that. So that's going to come out. I'm waiting for that to see how that plays out.
So I would like to just quickly interrupt. A lot of people are asking, since you are a comic creator yourselves, a lot of people are asking if they have an idea or a comic. Most people prefer going for webtoon to publish their comics. What are your suggestions on where they have to publish comics so that people can actually read the work and get recognized?
See, the lucky factor of people today is that they have webtoons. In my time, there was no webtoon. You had to rely on either Drunk Duck or Tapastic. Tapastic, that is tapas.io now. And again, that depended on the traction. Now, webtoons, the best part about webtoons is it randomly features creators every day. So the chance of getting your comic discovered is huge. But I would also recommend to have your own personal site if you have a webcomic. I don't know what the contact details with webtoons are, but I would also recommend having a separate site for your own comic so that you get traction from both places. Suppose you stop at webtoons at some point due to a licensing restriction, you can always continue on your own website. So I would recommend having both, because webtoons is a great platform to get your work famous. They feature a lot of artists almost every day randomly, so it helps out. So I definitely say go for webtoons. Of course, the format is different, so it really depends. It doesn't work for Beast Legion. If I start putting Beast Legion out of webtoons, the format won't really click with the people. So I guess you have to think on that terms as well.
So we'll all the panelists can also add this question into the
because the question has now become a three-part question, which is what did you do when you were in 12th grade? After 12th grade, how did you get to where you are? Are you recruiting, and how do you find work? And the third part is, what are your plans for the future? And what platforms do you recommend putting your work on? Huge question. So thank you, Giselle. I think you have appointments.
If there are any animators out there, you can always connect with me on Instagram. I would love to see your work. Who knows, maybe we can work something out together. But I'm always ready to, my Instagram ID is jizzleh.art. So you can check it out anytime. And I always reply to my DMs. So that's about it.
Next we'll go to Bharat.
I think. Oh, okay, sure. No, I just wanted to put in a quick thing. Sorry, I actually got disconnected. Really crappy connection I have here.
Yeah, go ahead.
A good chunk of people who watch our content and engage with our stuff, they really want to take their skills to the next level and everything, but then somehow they don't know the path, and they don't necessarily know how to hop from video to video and place to place, and maybe joining an art college is not something even their parents support or even have any idea about what it is to work in the creatives art specifically. So one thing, I'm just going to do a quick promo out here. One of our upcoming projects is a very comprehensive course for anyone who wants to make assets for animation. So if you want to possibly contribute to projects such as ours, and you want to take your skills to the next level, but you're an absolute beginner, very soon we're going to put out three online courses, one for absolute beginners, one for an intermediate level, and one for advanced. And it's going to be like a very extensive thing. So I'm just putting this out there. If you're interested, just keep your eyes on our updates, and we'll let you know about that real soon. So because we wanted to also get into this space where we can empower people and in that way grow the industry. So that is something we're going to do. I just wanted to just quickly talk about that. So
also,
anyway,
I would
continue.
Before Bharat continues, I would also like to tell that there's a lot of animation workshop that is going to happen on the main days of WeebeeCon. This pixel art animation workshop, and I think there's a animation workshop by Studio Durga also.
we are actually doing a live drawing session. So, like we'd done on YouTube once in one of our lives. So basically, um, we just talked about what are the the finer points of our character designs, but we might go for something else. But essentially what we're doing is we are doing a live drawing session, and we're also doing an ask us anything sort of thing, so it's more of an interactive fun sort of thing. But the thing that I was talking about is of course going to happen in some time. It's going to be a while before we can take that live. Is we are going to enable you to have a very like a very focused learning experience. So what we're doing for WeebeeCon is not essentially, I mean, it is going to be educational to some extent, but it's going to be more of fun than learning. It's going to be a bit of both, I would say. But yeah, so I'll just stop hijacking this conversation, and you guys can carry on.
Alright, so I think Bharat goes next.
Yeah. What was the question exactly?
Okay, so it's a four-part humongozoid question now. First part is, what did you do after 12th grade?
Okay.
And how did you choose your path? Because a lot of people asking questions are in that stage now where they're finishing school and they're confused. So that goes with the question of, is an art degree worth anything? Should they enroll in art college, or should they do a traditional thing or not go to college at all? Which I would like to let people know is an option. And then the next part is, are you hiring? How can they get to work with you? And if not, how can they find work? How can they put themselves out there? And what platform should they put themselves out on? So that's the whole question.
Okay, so I'll start with the last question first. I mean, these days, Instagram is pretty much the place for all kinds of illustration. Since it's social media as well, it's not just. Of course, there are other platforms which were there before, like Behance and all that. But Instagram is also a social media space, and the algorithms work in a certain way, so people get to see each other's work. So I think if you want to put up work, you put up you put it up everywhere, wherever you can, all over the place, on Facebook, on Instagram. This is what I do. I mean, I have some work, I just put it up all over the place, and those who need to see it will see it. And I'm also looking for people who are doing interesting work, because now the next question, which is about hiring and all that. So there are some animation projects which are kind of in the gestation period right now, and which I want to get started on whenever I can, given whenever financial there's a financial boost or there's some support, which I'm in talks with. So that, and then I would really require animators, and not just animators, as I said before, background artists, and people who do voice. That is a key thing that I'm actually looking for. I'm very 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 interested in creating and discovering and figuring out how we can do something interesting with voice in animation. It's an area that is absolutely unexplored, as a creative field, creative space. So that's something that I'm keen on. So I usually go to Instagram. I'm looking around at somebody's page, and then you save those little posts, and then you see, okay, this guy is doing backgrounds. Okay, so I've got a list of people who I look around and then say, okay, this guy maybe, or this person can do some background art. Maybe this person can animate, because I saw some little bit of animation. Maybe this person is good at doing action scenes. So okay, so that way, I have a personal thing, but then I think there should be a proper database which all of us can access, and which everybody can see. And I think that's an important thing to build a
Hello? Bharat?
I think his internet
Okay,
got
I
cut.
think Bharat's cut off. Alright. You just wait for him to reconnect. Sobascape, would you like to continue?
Yeah. Sure. So actually, both of us have an interesting story. Both of us were architecture. We were actually studying architecture together in Mysore University, and that's when both of us, had a similar love for anime, love for Japanese art, illustration. Because architecture is a course itself, which has not only the structural and mathematical part of like learning about buildings and stuff, but it has a lot to do with art, and design, which is just expression of self. Yeah. And expression of different mediums of ways of expressing yourself, which is through manual artwork. We've done the whole course on watercolors. We've tried watercolors. We've done sculptures. We've done different areas. We've gotten our hands a little bit muddy in different all kinds of things in that course of 5 years. And even Photoshop. Yeah, and even Photoshop. And for me personally, I've actually started studying Photoshop. I wouldn't say studying, but I used to experiment with Photoshop a lot when I was a kid, probably 10, 12 years old. And that sort of was self-taught to myself. And then moving in, and when I got into architecture is when I realized how much it actually really helped knowing so much about these tools and software. So I think that architecture as a whole for us as a course, I would say, is something that it has the best of both worlds. It has a little bit of knowing how art is received by the audience or the viewer and the user. I think a lot of art schools, the priority of taking art as a degree itself here is that you can learn a lot of things online. Everything is online right now. You don't even need a degree. Like that's exactly what they were saying earlier, which is it's absolutely not necessary. Everything is available readily on YouTube, tutorials, Google. You can Google it, you can find it, you can learn it, you can master it. But one thing that art school really does help is to be able to get critically appreciated for your artwork, which you may not get when you're doing this solo on your own. What I mean to say by that is you may not have professionals who are in the field of artwork, who are in the field of art itself, whether they be architects or they be fashion designers, whether they be animators, mangakas themselves. It's all can be called art in some way. So when you get feedback from a professional as such that this to it, or the colors you've used represent this, you understand your art in a more deeper sense, as opposed to when it's somebody who doesn't have an art background or is in another field commenting on your artwork just based on how it looks, because there is so much beyond to just how what artwork, whether it's beautiful or not, and beauty is subjective to the eye. So this is something you will explore so much taking up art as a course. So yeah, there is this thing about
It's sort of like a 50-50 thing. It's sort of, again, it comes to your convenience, your family, whether they agree with to do it or not. And if your family doesn't agree, it is not the end of the world. You don't have to give up your art. You can still pursue it. You can either still enter the arts field. At least for me, it was more like I entered architecture because it was still related to art. It may not be direct things like that, but it kept me in touch. And personally, I learned Photoshop through architecture because we had to, a lot of architecture is to present your artwork in the most efficient manner. So that's how we segued from Photoshop into Clip Studio, because Clip Studio was very much similar in that fashion. So it is, again, out there on YouTube, we have so many people who put up tutorials and who teach people and who know that it is not so easy to come into this. They put it up specifically for that. So yeah, it's basically whichever suits your best needs. It is not that you need to get it, or if you can't get it, it's an issue. You can always work around it. You can always make it happen. You just have to keep your eye open, look out for it, Google it, research it, and practice. Like 100%, just keep doing. And like the previous panelists have mentioned, drawing fan arts is a good segue into doing your original art. If you want to get recognition, it is always first easier to experiment with what exists. These big titles and big anime creators, you catch eyes that way. Then when you segue into your own style and your own art, you get that appreciation along with a fresh eye. So we ourselves started out like that. We did start out at the cons and the fest. We did put up our fan arts. which we did in our own styles. We took those characters and put them in our own style. Then that is then how we had the understanding and confidence to make our own characters. Because again, we are self-taught. We did not really go to a character design school or a background design school.
But I would still say that having an art background is still important.
It is still,
I would still say that because there is some amount of feedback you're never going to get once when you're on your own. If it's even if it's through Instagram, Facebook, social media, it's a great platform, and that's obviously
Can
stated. Yeah,
is it okay if I chip in here a little bit?
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
I think the landscape of not getting enough support either from your peers or from your parents. As Studio Soba said, it's very important that you, if you really want to work hard, because
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, we can't hear you.
and a lot of them, I think a huge. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I think the phenomenon of not having any support shouldn't deter you, because you could be stuck in any 9 to 5, and you could at least if you have it in you, if you have the aptitude, and if you have the attitude, then you could build up your skills to a point where you are going to be getting commissions because you're good. You are employable in the industry. So I think that should matter to you more than following your passion, because a lot of things, a lot of people I see, a lot of people who have asked for this project, and I've talked to so many different people from so many different kinds of art styles and little pockets in the industry. I think you should just keep the focus on the basics. That it doesn't matter what you stylize it to.
I think we're out of time for today, guys. So thank you so much for coming, all of you. That was amazing. It's much better than I hoped for.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
Just to complete this, I'm also going to interject with a small addition from me, which is Twitter and Pixiv are also platforms like Instagram where you want to put up your work. Twitter, everybody can see your work, so that's amazing, and you can follow other artists on Twitter. And Pixiv is why you want to have an account if you want to be noticed by Japanese or Chinese or Korean creators, right? They look for you on Pixiv. So if you have a bent towards making anime and you want to work in those countries, you want to be noticed by people there, make a Pixiv account. Alright, so that's about it. I'll be playing a trailer from Beast Legion to finish off. Alright, so just give me
Nazo,
Guys,
before...
I'm back. Sorry, my connection got cut.
Hey, but if you want to finish what you were saying, because we're pretty much done, we're out of time. But we don't want to leave you hanging.
I mean, I was almost done. I was just talking about how education, higher education is important.
Right.
Okay, Nazo, before we go to the trailer,
I would
special
say
thanks
the correct
to
kind of
Anime
education.
TM and Otakustan, so because they've organized such a huge event.
So shout out to Delhi Anime Club, who's basically running the whole of WeebeeCon online. Dare, thank you. Shout out to all the Discord admins who, despite all the struggle, we started, I think, only 10 minutes late at worst, which is pretty amazing for any event like this. I know I have a lot of experience. I usually start an hour late. So thank you so much for all you guys. Thank you, Laggy, for being top tier co-host with me. Thank you for everyone who participated, and thanks to all the audience who submitted questions.
And also our sponsors, that is anime.in, if that was missed. Hello.
Sure. Alright, thank you guys so much. I will be putting up the trailer for Beast Legion comics, and Sobascape, do you have anything you'd like to show the audience?
I think, I mean, the only thing is that I guess we have a poster which is
that's fine.
for
That's fine. We'll put it out.
That's
Alright, so guys, I'll be
yeah.
putting out a bunch of links. We're creating an animator database so we can build the animation industry in India. We want to collect the names of all the animators and see if we can make something happen. And I'll also be putting out links to Anim Desan, which was mentioned by Studio Durga, which is a completely free to use plugin for Photoshop made by a Frenchman called Stéphane Baril. which turns Photoshop into an animation software, right? So you don't need a separate one. It gives you a video layer timeline on Photoshop. I'll be using that in the pixel art workshop on the main days as well. So if you want to learn it, come to that. So I think that's about it.
Also, we'll put out the Insta and website links of all the panelists in a so that you guys can follow them and learn much more from them through the art.
Right. So I'm just gonna switch to the video, and then you guys can. I think we'll sign out from there. All right. So thank you so much. That was panel discussion at WeebeeCon Online 2020.
Is the start of something burning, a desire to spirit always yearning. As the fire blazed on, there was darkness beyond. Just awaken the demons at the break of dawn. As his soul now grew weary of the dangers that lay ahead. This life ain't easy, be not afraid to face it. Fight on, brave, fierce warriors, don't stop, just face your destiny. You have no regrets, you survive till your last breath. There'll be no sweeter victory. Keep fighting and don't stop. It's your destiny, be strong, you'll be free. It's your destiny.